All right, I got the team together. Let's start with this. The Bills get through those 2 rounds. We talked to Brandon Beane. Dan, it went the way he wanted, and he stayed where he was. He didn't move.
Yeah, I think he said that was one of the toughest parts about it, was that he was patient. It paid off, but he said his patience was wearing thin. He said he was surprised that Epinesa fell to him at 54. He said, look, maybe it was the combine numbers. He didn't run well, something like that. But he goes, you know what? He's not going to win any sexy awards, but you know what? No, nobody thinks Buffalo is sexy. So he gets that guy. But then he said it was really dicey in the 3rd round. Actually was trying to make calls to move up earlier to get Zach Moss. Patience paid off again, and he got Zach Moss without giving up anything.
You could tell he was in a good mood for sure. Brandon,
great mood.
Joking with reporters saying he was telling his crew earlier on Thursday, hey, don't let me do anything crazy. But like what Dan said, the patience that he had really did pay off. He had, great grades on AJ Epinesa. He was excited to get a guy like Zach Moss. And I think they're both great great players at a position of need on this Bills roster.
Now, he did not mention it, but it was pretty obvious that he was following what I wrote on Buffalo Plus to say to take
Obviously.
AJ, because do you guys want to congratulate me publicly?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I don't owe you any money, so.
But then the pick of Moss, I think, is a good one. And Epinesa, it's kind of a cool story that his first college sack came against
Josh
Allen. And he said he was tough to sack, and he's going to say the good things about his quarterback when he gets there. He didn't say anything about accuracy, so that's good. He didn't start that way with him. And with Moss, I mean, Jenna, we saw both those guys at the combine. Moss was impressive in that way, and I think, and Beane even mentioned it, he's a compliment to the way Singletary runs, and he's big and strong, but the guy's got moves too.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not just a big body guy. He has the ability to make a cut and be able to move. And like you said, I think he is a great compliment to Devin Singletary. Look, I know it's the cliche thunder and lightning, but the Bills had that with Frank Gore last year. Obviously, Frank Gore is going to be older. He's not going to be on this team. So bring in a younger guy that they can bring along that has had success and is that different style that can really feed off of what Devin Singletary does. And to have that 1-2 punch for the Bills, I think is huge for them. And the fact that they got him and they didn't need to once again trade up.
And I think that Moss and Singletary are more similar than you may think of thunder and lightning. Moss can also catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he also has good speed. He's good at holding onto the football, not a ton of fumbles in college. So I don't think that they're so different. I think they complement one another. I think they're
Dan,
similar. I think
he does not want to say you have to have 2 different running backs.
I will say, though, a little thing that I didn't even realize, both of these guys are from South Florida. They actually knew each other growing up. So they already have somewhat of a connection. Devin Singletary has reached out to Zach Moss. So I think that kind of helps build the familiarity. Maybe it's not thunder and lightning then, Dan. So what is it, lightning and heat lightning?
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Love it.
Something
like clouds and rain or something like that.
It was also interesting to hear Beane say, he didn't move. And I asked him, it was my question. I asked him about other teams trying to move around. And he said the logistics for a couple of guys got a little tight. Like he's calling them up like, hey, fellas, are we going to make a deal here?
Yeah, he said the time crunch was more of a factor. He said he had a couple of offers that teams respected. They thought they had a chance at him. And all of a sudden he goes, there's 2 minutes left. And he calls him up. Hey, what are we doing? I got to make a pick if you're trading it to me. Interesting.
So the impatient Beane did come out there a little bit.
I think it's always going to be right there. But the fact that those deals fell through and they got the value on their picks is huge. And I think it was also really helpful, the fact that the Bills did have that day to wait on Thursday. They weren't in the first round initially, so they had some time to kind of wait and see what the technical aspect of everything.
But he hated waiting. Hated. He said it was miserable yesterday or for Thursday on round 1. Seeing all those good players go by.
Yeah. But they got their guys.
They got guys. They definitely did. All right. Now, as we look to today, the Bills have 5 picks in this draft. I know we can say best player available because that's kind of what they've done. But Dan, a specific position you're looking for somewhere over these 5 picks.
I think over the next 5 picks, the Bills will take 2 wide receivers. I think they're really going to try and add some more depth, younger depth. We saw it with Epinesa. that he gets to learn, that you don't need to be thrown into the fire right now and expected to be a starter. Epinesa is going to have some time to develop. I think if you bring in a wide receiver, I really like Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota. 6'2", great route runner, physical. They call him like a running back once he gets the ball in his hands. I like somebody like that. A Gandy Golden is also another guy out of Liberty that could have an eye on, would also, be a nice special teams addition. So I think wide receiver is the position that Beane will hopefully find some of that depth that we've been hearing about all offseason in wide receivers.
Yeah, and I think Gandy Golden would be a huge addition for this Bills team just because he is a 6'4" guy. He is that one of those bigger targets. And I think, look, the addition of Stephon Diggs is obviously huge. That's perceived as Buffalo's first-round pick. But like Dan said, there is a lot of depth at receiver. And you have some guys that are getting older, so why not bring in that depth and kind of be able to pick and choose who you want and who can contribute and kind of you can bring along.
Yeah, well, Sean McDermott on Zoom, text, one way or another, was telling him, get me some extra help for the secondary too, because
either a corner or a safety. Somewhere that's going to come through for them, and we'll see if it is tomorrow. I was going to say pick a quarterback, and the guy I liked was Jalen Hurts, but my Eagles, for some unknown reason, took him in the second round.
Why?
I don't know. Call Howie Roseman up. But it was right before the Bills picked, and I bet you Beane was sitting there going, thank you, Howie, because they could have taken a running back, they could have taken a defensive end, they could have taken a number of players.
I think it was interesting because Beane said there weren't that many wild cards this year. Guys that went where they didn't, I guess Mike would have a comment to say to Beane about that, for his Eagles there. But it was interesting. I don't know if that format kept people just more on the safe side, guys that they're familiar with, but it didn't seem like there were too many crazy picks where somebody went in the second round where they were, projected to go in the fifth.
It's going to be interesting as we get set for this last part here on Saturday, because the time is tight and there's a lot of picks and there's normally a lot of movement with these picks. We'll see tomorrow or for Saturday if it really goes that way. But I think Beane's going to have his eyes on – I don't think he'll be moving a ton, but I think he's going to go for those positions. I think you're right, guys. I think wide receiver is definitely going to be one of them, and we'll see who he grabs. He did say what he had on players, especially in the second round, those guys were gone. So he knew that at that point, but I think he's going to find some to get ready. And he's been good so far. Let's see how it goes for the last day of the draft. Keep an eye on everything on BuffaloPlus.com. For Dan and Jenna, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching, and we'll be continuing our coverage of the Bills draft.